Hello, my humans. Welcome to Franchise Investment. This is a show where we go through movie franchises and talk a bit about the good, the bad, and what's to come. It's not really a deep dive kind of show, more of an overview of my thoughts on these movies and how invested I was or still am in the franchise as a whole. Hence the clever title. The Predator franchise really needs no introduction. I mean, you all know this guy, right? Look at him. Look at that. Look at that adorable little face. Ah, so cute. But in case you are unfamiliar, it all began way back in 1987 with the release of Predator, a sci-fi action thriller set in a dense jungle, which follows a tough-as-nails-with-balls group of commandos led by Arnie the Schwartz on a mission in Central America, only to find themselves being stalked by an extraterrestrial who's just trying to enjoy his hunting safari on Earth. The movie set new standards in the action genre and won the unanimous praise of audiences and critics, so, as it must go, sequels soon followed. Starting with 1990's Predator 2, followed by the confusingly titled Predators in 2010, and then finally, 2018 brought us The Predator, just to keep those confusing titles consistent. Those are the movies we'll be looking at today. There are two Alien vs. Predator spin-off movies where they battled each other to see who could destroy the other's franchise first, but we won't be talking about those. Maybe someday in another video, but probably not. I go way back with these movies. In fact, one of the most vivid childhood memories I have is being in the room when my dad was watching the original, and then seeing Apollo Creed become a southpaw by a blast from the Predator's shoulder cannon. I remember asking my dad if people really had to lose body parts to be in movies, at which point, after probably questioning his parenting skills, he explained to me the notion of movie magic and special effects. It definitely sparked my interest and helped put me on the path to being the shameless movie nerd that I am today, so I guess you could say that original movie has a pretty special place in my heart. Predator 2 I also have a ton of nostalgia for. I know my brother and I damn near wore that VHS out playing it so much. The other sequels, though, I'm able to look at a little bit more objectively. Alright, let's kick this off way back in 1987.
Century Fox presents Arnold Schwarzenegger. Predator. The hunt begins Friday, June 12th at theaters everywhere.
Predator is just one of those movies where almost everything works. The concept alone is brilliant. Get a bunch of tough guys together in the jungle and then have them try to not be picked off by a crazy alien that hunts for sport and then rips your spine out like he's frickin' Sub-Zero. It's all the gory glory of the late 80s action movies we'd come to expect by then, with movies like Terminator and RoboCop, but with like 90% more testosterone. Seriously, I think watching this movie too much at a young age made me hit puberty early. I mean, just look at this. Look at this. It's like two roided out cobras. King of action stars Arnold Schwarzenegger is at his best here too. Complete with ridiculous one-liners that shouldn't work with the overall tone of this movie, but just do. There's only a couple of those, though. The real jokes here come from Shane Black's character, Hawkins.
The other day, I was going down to my girlfriend. I said to her, "Jeez, you got a big pussy. Jeez, you got a big pussy." She said, "Why did you say that twice?" I said I didn't. See, it's because of the echo.
What I really like about this movie is how long it takes to get a single good view of the Predator. He spends the first 40 minutes of this movie just hanging out in trees and waiting. At 42 minutes in, he finally launches his first attack, and it isn't until over 50 minutes in that we finally get a quick glimpse of old Preds while uncloaked. Enough good cannot be said about Stan Winston's design work on this guy. I mean, look at him. He's scary, imposing, disgusting, yet somehow still very sexy. Speaking of sexy, did you know that the Predator was almost Jean-Claude Van Damme in a big red suit? Seriously. Look, that's Van Damme. There's a great video that explains the story of Van Damme's time on the Predator set. I'll leave a link to it below. It's a short watch, you should check it out. There is a ton I could say about this movie, but it's been around so long that it's kind of all been said already. I don't want to keep you here all day, so we're going to move on, but I really love this movie. You get the idea.
He's on safari. Lions. Tigers. The bears. Oh my.
Danny Glover, Gary Busey, Reuben Blades, Maria Conchita Alonso, Bill Paxton. Predator 2. He's in town with a few days to kill this Thanksgiving.
In 1990, Predator decided to go on a holiday to Los Angeles with Predator 2. The concept this time, put the scary hunter in a jungle of steel and concrete and pit him against Lieutenant Murtaugh. Well, I guess. He isn't really Murtaugh without that mustache. Just like how it isn't Riggs without that glorious mullet. This movie's pretty different from the original, which is fine by me. The first movie, much more of a cat and mouse thriller with hints of sci-fi and some great action. This one's way more of a flat-out action movie. Also, you see a lot more of Preds in this one, which is cool, but it makes him feel more like a slasher monster movie than the patient, methodical hunter of the first one, which I think makes him a little less scary. He still looks fantastic, though, thanks to Stan Winston's team. Those guys, they just don't do wrong. I remember when I watched this for the first time, I thought Glover was a really strange choice for the lead. I mean, after seeing someone with the physique of Arnie go toe-to-toe with the Predator and only just barely make it out alive, Glover seemed like a little out of shape. But what he lacks in physicality, he more than makes up for in complete batshit insanity.
Hey, asshole! If we let this bastard get dug in now, we'll have to level the building to get him out. Behind him and can kiss my sweet ass. I don't roll over anybody, especially the fans, without a goddamn good explanation. Arrogant! Fuck you! Stay the fuck out my way. Fuck yourself! What the fuck happened? Shit! Not again. Shit! Oh, fuck! Must be losing.
Speaking of batshit insanity, Gary Busey's in here too, as Agent Keyes, the federal agent tracking the Predator. He's always fun to watch, and he's got a really awesome death scene.
Guess who's back?
And the always lovable Bill Paxton shows up to shout every line of his dialogue and be murdered by yet another alien. This movie also doesn't have as many classic quotes as the original, but it does have this.
Okay, pussyface. It's your move. Shit happens.
At the end of the day, Predator 2 is nowhere near the caliber of its predecessor, but I still like it just fine.
They learn. They adapt. You want to survive? Dig in deep.
Who's your daddy now?
How do we kill them?
However you can.
A full 2 decades after Predator 2, we finally get a new Predator movie in the main series with Predators. Did it live up to expectations? Well, yeah. I like this movie. I mean, it's nothing amazing, but it also doesn't do anything offensive to the legacy of the series at all. This time around, the story focuses on a small group of assorted, mysterious soldier, mercenary, criminal, and other killer-type folks who are dropped into a strange and unfamiliar jungle, only to discover they're being hunted by the big ugly motherfuckers themselves. So they have to learn to set aside the fact that they don't know jack shit about each other and band together to stay alive. There's a lot of cool ideas in this movie. Sure, a good chunk of them is just pulled from what worked in the original, but I think there's enough new ideas here to keep it interesting. I really like the idea of a game preserve type planet with 2 competing tribes of predators hunting each other. There isn't a whole lot to be said about characters in the movie, though. The best character is by far Walton Goggins' death row inmate. His character's really the only one with an arc. This guy is ready to kill everyone he meets when we meet him, but his final moments are taken on a predator with just a prison shiv to buy his new pals time to escape.
Who do you think you're dealing with, huh? No, you got... No! Come on!
I might just be biased, though, because I'm such a big Walton Goggins fan. That dude just crushes it every time. I still feel that he and Idris Elba are the most criminally underused actors in the MCU. Sorry, getting off topic. Eric Foreman does a pretty good job, too. I like what they did with him being the sleeper serial killer guy. It was kind of unexpected. Adrian Brody's the main man here, though. The guy I think we're supposed to be rooting for, but he's just kind of there, putting on his best Batman voice.
Need the service?
Not exactly.
We don't even learn his character's name until one of the last lines of the movie, but when they reveal it, I hadn't even realized we didn't know it. I mean, that has to say something. I also just want to mention a couple of scenes I thought were really cool. The opening scene is a great way to start this movie. Hell of a way to get the blood pumping before your title card pops up. That part where Eric Foreman throws the flare in a dark hallway and it hits a cloaked predator with it. That was an excellent oh shit moment. I love it. I know I'm being really kind to this movie, but it's not solid gold. I mean, it definitely sags a bit in the second act when Morpheus shows up. Although I really like the idea that he's kind of gone mental being there all that time. The Predators still look good in this one, and I like the new designs. I also like that they didn't use too much CGI for the Predators themselves. However, for some reason they feel a little off, almost like they look slightly more artificial. Like Predator 2, Predators can't quite hit the high water mark of the first movie, but it's still a worthy and entertaining Predator movie.
The ultimate predators.
Light him up!
We may die.
We're still here. So come and get us, motherfucker.
I was pretty excited when I heard this movie was getting made. They got Shane Black, the guy telling all the pussy jokes from the original movie, to make this one, and I've liked his work as a director in the past. I never could have predicted it would end up as the poorly constructed, badly written, embarrassing piece of garbage that it is. Normally, right here is where I'd give you a brief rundown of the plot, but honestly, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what this movie was even about, and I can't even come up with a couple brief sentences that accurately describe what happens in this movie. Let's just go to the internet for this one and see what they say. When a young boy accidentally triggers the universe's most lethal hunters return to Earth, only a ragtag crew of ex-soldiers and a disgruntled scientist can prevent the end of the human race. Huh. I guess the internet can't really do it either. That's the biggest problem with this movie. It isn't about anything. It's not a narrative so much as it's just a bunch of things that happen. Most of the time, we don't even find out why they're happening till after they've happened, forcing you to spend most of the running time in a perpetual state of confusion. And once things are finally explained, none of it makes any sense. Like, for example, the first Predator that comes to Earth. We find out later in the movie that he was here to bring a gift to humanity that was supposed to save the human race from extinction. But when you find that out, you're forced to spend a bunch of time wondering why this predator immediately started eviscerating and slaughtering humans the second he crashed on Earth. I mean, I know the communication between humans and predators is spotty at best, but did you even try? Maybe just the simple peaceful gesture of not skinning and hanging the ones you're there to save? The script is full of this kind of stuff. The characters in this movie barely exist. Discount Charlie Hunnam here. He's a decorated soldier or something. He saw the Predator crash in the woods and he stole its toys. Now he's branded a criminal and put on a bus with Key, who tells jokes, Reek, who I think does magic. Tom Jane has Tourette's, although the way the characters talk in this movie, you'd think they all have Tourette's. This is Shia LaBeouf? Shia here loves his Bible, and this guy, I don't even remember. I think he's just the crazy one who puts cigarettes out on his tongue. This is basically all we get as far as who these guys are. I mean, they all have character traits, but none of them are real characters. Aside from those guys, we have Olivia Munn, who's a scientist or a teacher or something. Gum Guy, who's with the agency chasing down the predators and who's obnoxiously chewing gum in all of his scenes. The kid, who hilariously murders his neighbor. And his mother, played by the girl from Dexter. Every single one of these people are morons. The characters in this movie are so stupid that one of them shoots themselves in the foot with a tranq dart. And another blows his own head off. This movie forgot what a Predator movie is. There is no sense of dread, no tension. Everything seems to be played for laughs. It is, for the most part, a comedy. A really unfunny and bad comedy featuring the Predator. Even most of the deaths are played for laughs in this. One guy gets stabbed through the asshole. The Predators themselves this time are hit and miss. The first one that shows up is done using a lot of practical effects with a suit and animatronics, and he looks great. The new Predator, though, he's just a big CGI monster. The design is fine, I guess, but he's too powerful. Bullets don't even faze him, so he just walks right up to people and slashes them to shreds. Whatever happened to the sport of it, Predator? At the end of this mess, we finally see the gift for mankind that the Predator brought for us humans. It's a Predator Iron Man suit. It's terrible. I hate everything about this movie. Don't watch it. Nobody should. So what comes next for our favorite mandibled alien sport hunter? Well, Disney bought Fox in 2019, and they're not the kind of company to let a property collect dust. The latest news at this moment is Dan Trachtenberg, director of 10 Cloverfield Lane, has been hired to direct a 5th movie, but the plot is being kept under wraps. It'll supposedly ignore the previous movie in the franchise, which is a very good thing. Whatever they decide to do with it this time, I just hope they remember what makes the first movie so good. I'm not saying that it needs to be a bunch of people in a jungle being hunted down one by one. I welcome original stories and new takes on the universe. But at the core of The Predator, it needs to be a thriller. Not a monster movie, not a comedy. The audience should feel nervous, fear what they aren't seeing. Those are the feelings that stuck with me when I first saw it anyway. There are ways to take the story in bigger and different directions and still maintain that feeling of dread somehow. I'd say they're on the right track with Dan Trachtenberg since he created and maintained that feeling for a solid hour and a half with 10 Cloverfield Lane. Personally, I just want someone to make a Predator vs. Rambo movie already. Let's end both of those franchises with some ridiculous dignity. Despite the misstep, or rather the trip and fall and break your jaw on the concrete that was 2019's The Predator, I'm still invested in the Predator franchise and I'm excited to see where it goes next. What about you? Are you invested in these movies still? Have you ever been? Maybe you have some memories of when you first saw some of these. If so, leave them down in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Alright, I think that wraps this one up. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.